like, hey, how could you get pregnant? You're a child yourself. What's going to happen with the baby? And I'm like, a baby?
Yes.
What? And my mom was shocked to the core. Um, but still, in her shock, I still remember her telling me that, listen, I believe you. I know you are my child, and don't worry about any of this. He was wrong for doing what he did to you, and I am going to fight it for you as your mother. So don't worry about anything, and I still love you more than. And now that's when also finding out that he is actually denying it, that he didn't do it, and he is out on bail. And this fear overcame me. I was just so fearful of him. I was just so angry. Now even the people around me, I was like, how could my grandparents not notice? How could my mom not notice? How could my friends not notice? And just like as you said, I was just now reaching puberty, and at school boys were starting to notice me, and I was just, now I became fearful of men around me.
Phenomenons. Coding.
Yeah. When me allowing my mom to take over, and because there were so many times that I wanted to give up on the process, but my mom was like, listen, justice needs to be done for this. Like, look how your life has turned out. Justice needs to be served. And that is what kept me going. That whenever, even if this man is tried after 20, 30 years, but I know the feeling I'm gonna get when justice is served. So I feel like even for people who are in the same situation that I was, have that hope that justice will do something for you. And I remember I went through forgiveness even before justice was served for my dad. But I as soon as I heard that justice was served, another I another level of healing was brought upon me, knowing that justice was served. Like, it's okay. Like, do not sit around and ask yourself, what if. I know there's a lady also recently who was molested by someone, and they kept quiet, and they only went to court. Only went to report years, I think in 2019. But that man was recently sentenced for like 16 years. And I'm like, thank you so much for speaking out. Because and she was also saying that the relief that I have now, I can be able to start with my healing journey. So maybe seeing someone that has molested you, who was a prominent person, go behind bars, can also be the beginning of your healing journey.
Right. And when was your father convicted? 2011 was court date. How long did it take
Yes.
after?
I think he was convicted in 2016.
That was a long, long process.
Yeah, that was a long, long process, because there was also a bit of appealing in between. So it was a lot. But I remember that as soon as I was done with, I went to state my truth. I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to hear whether what or whatever happened. I've spoken my truth. They can decide what they want. So I never really followed up as to what happened or how many years. I was just shocked to hear from the court now, from prison, that he's already applying for parole and all of that. I was like, oh, okay, let me go listen to what he has to say.
That must have been a relief.
Yes, it was a relief. It was
Relief.
a relief.
And I know that you talk about forgiveness and healing. Throughout your
Yes.
process, how did you find the courage to heal? Because trust me, that is not easy. Like I'll be the first to say I've went through suicidal attempts even as an
Ye-
adult,
Yes.
cutting myself,
Mm.
breaking myself down emotionally, saying things that were not of me to myself,
Yes.
to keep
Yes.
myself
Yes.
locked up in this cage because I felt like I didn't deserve any love, I didn't deserve anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
True.
what did you go through during your healing process? I know you did speak about, being suicidal, being
Yes.
depressed, which is it's given. This
Mm.
is your
Mm.
father. That's not easy.
Not at all. So yeah, it was a lot. There was a time that, as I mentioned earlier, that I was afraid of men. And then there was a time I was like, listen, if my father could do this to me, then everyone can. There was also that stage in my life. And there was a lot that happened, also hurting myself. The things that I said to myself, like the things that I put myself through, the things I ingested because I wanted to end it all. But that's when I realized that no, man, God was there. Like there was never a moment that He was not there, because the men that I met up with, like, could easily have been like, okay, we're done, let me kill you. But it just goes to show that God was there. The alleys that I walked through, you know like, it just goes to show that God's hand was always over my life.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Him, if it wasn't for His purpose for my life, then I would not have survived all of that. But then I remember it was a time when I was in college now, and I was in my room, and I had pills, in my hand, and I was just negotiating with God that, listen, God, I'm done. um I always hear my grandparents, my mom, when they're like praying and be like, oh God, we are so grateful that we have a purpose in this life, what. And I'm like, you have allowed for this to happen to me, and you haven't showed your purpose for my life.
Mm.
So, like, let me just come to you, and please just accept my spirit when I get there. And I was ready to take these pills, and I just heard a voice that told me to stop. And I was like looking around, what was that? Who said that? And you know how how God's thing has happened. You just can't explain what just happened, but it happened.
Mhm.
And I was like speaking now to this person, and I was like, no, man, I'm tired. I'm tired of life. I'm tired of not knowing what my purpose is. I'm in college now. I see my friends are having the best times of their life. We go out, and I will always come back hysterical from that night out, because I'm seeing things, I'm seeing my father when he's not there. So I'm just tired of this life, and I'm beginning to lose friends because of how I'm acting. No one wants to be around me because of how I'm acting. So I'm taking my life. And God was like, no, I actually have a purpose for you. But before we can do any of that, I need you to remember what I said. My mom has always been teaching us the word of God. When she always read, I think it's in Corinthians, when it says, honor your mother and your father, so that it may be good to you. So that voice was playing at that time. I'm like, how am I supposed to honor a person who did not honor me? You know? And God was like, even with forgiveness, that is how forgiveness happens. Forgiveness is not about the other person, but it is about you.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
It is about yourself. For you to feel better, for you to stop feeling this way, you need to forgive the people that you are angry at, especially your father. And I had a great debate with God. I'm like, I God, he no, like, when is he gonna come and apologize? And I think that's what I also need to emphasize with parents, because when your children are fighting, ne, you always bring, like, your child is going to come to you and be like, mom, my brother hit me. And you're going to bring your brother, and you're going to be like, brother, say sorry to your sister. And your sister is going to, like, and then the brother is going to say, sorry, sister. And then you're going to say, give each other a hug. But that is not how forgiveness works most of the time. You need to forgive someone without them apologizing.
Right.
And we need to teach our children that from the very first go, that no, man, leave them, forgive them. You don't need to call that brother to come here, because that was very it was very hard for me to understand how to forgive a person without them asking for forgiveness,
Yeah,
you
because
know.
then
And
it
then,
feels forced, right?
yeah. And then God was like, no, it's not, it's got nothing to do with him. And that's when God was like, things happen to you, but they are not about you, and that is when I'm able to realize that everything that happened to me was really not about me. It was about this audience that I'm speaking to, the very person who is listening now, who's saying, I am going through the same thing and I don't know how to go out. But look at Zizo. Look at her. She has come out stronger. So everything that has happened to me was really not about me, but it was for me to stand and say, to God be the
The
glory. I
glory.
am, you know, just all of that.
I I just love you. I just love you. You can tell when a person really went through the process of healing.
Yes,
And one
yes.
thing I've learned is that healing is not a destination, it's a process.
Mm. It's a process.
Because some days you'll have moments where you're like, I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
Then there's another layer you have to go through with the healing process because you never thought that little thing was
Yes,
lingering.
yes.
But looking at you, you've gone through a process and
Mm.
it's a beautiful one. It was a self-accepting one.
Mm.
You
Yes,
accepted it wholeheartedly and it's beautiful. But you know, you're here now and you said that when you were 30 was when you got to know God for yourself. You really got to build a connection, a
yes,
relationship
yes.
with God. And I want to know what prompted it at 30. 30 is a milestone. What what
Yes.
brought you to
Yeah.
God at 30?
Um, oh, I was at a point in my life where I had neglected him. And there comes a time in life where you're like, I can do this by myself.
Oh yeah.
And God shows you, okay, okay, you can. Okay, let me give you a few years. You can.
Hmm.
And you see that, okay, you can. And then God just takes everything away. He literally just takes everything away and takes everyone away. Everyone just seems to be like, where's everyone? Everyone is gone, friends gone. And it is at that point where you need to, like, what is going on. And it was when I turned 30 that that happened. Like, everything that I knew around me was gone. I had moved to this new city where I knew no one, and it was just one of the loneliest moments in my life. And then there was a time I was like, you know what, maybe this time is for me to go back and do the things that I didn't get to do. And now the things that I didn't get to do were not aligned with what God had planned for me. So I was like, no, man, let me go back to partying. Maybe now, when I'm in the club, it's gonna be nicer. I'm wiser now. I can do these things. Um, but I am very fortunate to be able to hear when God speaks. I am able to hear God's voice, even though I would neglect him, but I would be able to hear his voice. And I remember for weeks there has been this verse, Matthew 6, verse 33: Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be given to you. And I was like, what is with this voice? What is with this voice? And I went to read that Bible verse, and still I was confused. I was like, no, man, I'm still going to live my life. I'm still young. I've just turned 30. I want to get my groove on. But God humbled me. He humbled me. He literally took everything away, and I was left only to seek him. And I was also at a place where I was like, I don't have a father, but God was like, I'm a father. And he would show me scriptures as to what it means to have a father who is God. And God just became God. And that is how I got to know him. I was like, what? Like, this is not the God that I knew.
That you knew.
Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is not the God that I knew. I didn't know that you are full of mercy. I didn't know that you are full of forgiveness. I didn't know that you're full of kindness. I didn't know your love. I didn't know your love. To literally be sitting, and you would, like, you are sad, but you would feel this hug. You feel a
Yes.
hug. Someone is hugging you, and it's a hug that you've never experienced before. Waking up, and around you, everything that is happening around you is supposed to be leaving you depressed, is supposed to be making you cry, but your heart is at so
Is
much
that
peace,
peace?
full of joy, and you just want to sing, you just want to do this and that and the other. And that is how I got to know who God is for me in my life. And I got to realize that God doesn't love us all the same. He loves us differently according to our needs. And I
Yes.
was like, what? So, which
Yes.
means even if I'm depressed, you still accept me. Even if, so it doesn't mean that the other person, because the other person is happy and has all the money, you will love them more. God loves us according to our needs. And it's not the same as the way that God loves Uzizo. It's not the same way as God loves Jen, but he loves us. The standpoint is that he loves us. Doesn't matter what you have done. It doesn't matter what you didn't do. You know, he loves us. And I had never gotten to, in my whole history of knowing God, of thinking that I know him, I never got to know him in the way that I know him
And
now.
it feels good, right?
It feels
It feels
so good.
good. It
It
feels
feels so good.
good.
It feels so good.
It feels good
Uh,
because, when we grow and we're raised in a home that's, Christian or whatever faith it is, we know God because our parents tell us about God. But to experience Him for ourselves, it's a different type of feeling. It's one that's like, I'll just be sitting here sometimes and I'm smiling like, God was you. That was you. I knew that was you. And you just chose to show up now. What happened to yesterday? And you just feel him talking to you like, I had to tease you a little bit. I had to make you
you
wait.
know,
You like, he's like literally a friend, a parent.
ah, yo, there was a verse I was reading the other day, and I first read, I don't remember, it was talking about don't worry about the things of tomorrow, you know. And then he went on to talk about there's this thing, there's a, I don't know who's speaking, I'm new to this, and he was like, let nothing separate me from the love of God.
Nothing.
um Yo, let nothing, like,
Like
yo,
nothing.
nothing. I want nothing to separate me from his love, because I know exactly how it feels. I used to ask myself when I was younger, like, how do you get to love someone that you've never seen, someone that you've never spoken to?
Mhm.
But now everything is just answered. I just love God. It's not a thing of I see everyone doing it. It's a feeling that I'm literally
Feel.
feeling that I love him. I love him for everything that he's done, and to actually realize that he's always been there. He's always been there. There's not a pivot moment in my life that I see and I'm like, no man, God was not here. He's always been. And to make me realize that what you went through was because I needed you to heal other people, to know that the reason I'm here on this earth is to work for God and for no one else.
That's it. That is
Just to
it.
work for God, to work for God in healing his people, because people are crushed every single day. And the only thing that is separating from the only thing that is separating men and God is unforgiveness. And he chose me to go and tell people about forgiveness. And there's no way that I can say that God was not there in that instant.
Yeah. God literally handpicked you because he knew that whatever he poured into you, you were going to be able to pour out into other people.
Pour out.
He was strengthening you from you were a child,
Mm,
from you were a fetus, he was strengthening you. And then he gave you that mother that
mm,
fueled you and pushed you in the direction that God wanted you to go in. And then he sent those little voices that sometimes we're like, whose voice is that? Am I going
No,
crazy? No, 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 no. That was him.
that was him.
Letting
That
him
was
know that he's not finished with us. This was only the beginning. And then you birthed something so beautiful that I cannot wait to get my hands on a copy. And I don't know how I'm gonna get this beautiful book of yours that you
we will
you
make a
wrote, your
plan.
masterpiece. My father took my innocence, purified and sanctified at last.
Yes, yes,
Purified and sanctified at last.
yes,
At
yes,
last, you wrote this
yes.
book that will save and change millions of people's lives.
Mhm, mhm.
What prompted you? What ignited you? What inspired you to write this book?
Yeah. Um, the inspiration behind the book was actually to let people know, because I what inspired me the most was the idea of the book came about when on Twitter there started the Me Too campaign. And as I read through all of that, people were talking about no, it was a producer, it was an uncle, it was that. I never saw a comment talking about a father doing that to their child. And I was like, so it means people don't know about this. So let me write this book. Let me write this book. And I feel like I also didn't do much work with the book. God did most of the work because it was such a difficult process. I started writing the book in 2017 and I only launched it in 2019. So it took me 2 years to complete because as soon as I started with chapter one, and my editor was like, no, man, I'm not feeling you. I need to feel you. And that meant I needed to go back to that 7 year old. And I realized that, no, man, I haven't forgiven the 7 year old. So let me go back to forgive the 7 year old. Editor, I'm coming back. I'm still dealing with the 7 year old. So that was such a healing process to me. That is why I said purified, because purification for me literally happened. I felt my body, I felt my soul being purified, I needed to go back to that very first day that it happened. And I was always asking myself, why didn't you scream so that people can hear you? So I needed to forgive that. So the book was, with every single chapter that I had to write, I needed to go back to see psychologists, to see, these people that can help me heal the inner child and heal the inner soul of myself as Uzizo. And when the book came out, I was like, now this is my masterpiece. Like, I have literally poured out my heart into this. If you read the book, you are able to also feel the feelings, the emotions that I felt, So that was the inspiration behind the book, and that is how it came out to be. And when I say that I was now sanctified, it meant that sanctification in the Bible means being set apart, and that was me. I was set apart because many people around the world, as I shared my story, many other people came out, and I also heard about other people that I've never heard before saying that they were also molested by their fathers. But God set me apart. He sanctified me to for me to do this exactly. And so that's how the title of the book came out, and that's how the book was birthed,
You know, when I started watching your interview and I found you on Instagram and I was looking at your book cover, I was doing my research and I'm like, I need to know who Zizo is. I need to know
Yes,
her.
yes.
I wrote my first book in 2019.
Mhm.
And when I saw your book and I looked at mine, and you will be the second person that God's aligning me with. The book cover looks similar to mine. The colors,
Yeah.
can you see?
The colors, like how it's written too.
And as I'm hearing you explain how you wrote your book, it took me a long time to write my book, but I literally, when I went back to it, it took me only 3 days. And it only took me long to write it because the exact same reason that you said. I had to go back to that 12-year
Yes.
old girl and forgive myself. And I had to write it because, I think people don't understand when you're writing a book, you struggle with how you want people to feel it,
Yes.
how you want
Yes.
them to receive it. So I was like, God, I know you're telling me to write it this way, but what about when my friends and my family read the book and other people, they're
Yes.
going to be like,
What are they
ew,
gonna
that's
think of me?
right. They're going to think, ugh, of me. Well, how am I going to feel to walk past? I'm going to feel naked. I'm going to feel weird. I'm going to feel awkward. And God said, listen, this is not about you. This is about the people's lives
Yes.
that I want
Yes.
you to speak to.
The assignment is not about you.
Sorry, the assignment is not about us,
Mm.
it's for God's people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
as I read your book title, Purified and Sanctified at Last, you could have never picked a more perfect title for your book. And I know I heard you say chapter 13, and now I understand chapter 13 when you said you hated yourself
Mhm.
and you had to go back at 7 to heal and learn how to love yourself.
Yes.
What was that process like for you to go back, revisit yourself, talk to that 7-year old Zizo, and then teach that 7-year old? You have to teach that 7-year old how to love herself so you could love the 30-year old you now, every
Now.
part of you, no matter what you went through with your dad. Because for us that have been molested and raped, we still have those thoughts where, like, how could we let that happen? Like you said,
Yes.
why didn't we scream? Why didn't we fight? Why didn't we
Mhm.
run away? What was your process like going back and then discovering self love?
Ooh. Oh, it was it was hectic. It was hectic because I remember there was a time that my dad mentioned that I used to wear short pajamas. So how was he not going to just, And I had to forgive. That was a 7-year-old me. And like, why were you doing that to your dad? Like, why were you, I don't know how to put it. Like, why were you walking around, with short pajamas and, you know, but I had to teach the 7-year-old self that there's nothing wrong with wearing short clothes. You are not the problem. They are the problem. There's nothing wrong with being affectionate with people that you love. There's nothing wrong with hugging a male figure and telling them that you love them, that you trust them. There's nothing wrong. You're a child. They are the problem. You are not the problem. So it was that process of affirming myself. 8-year-old, 13-year-old, 16-year-old, 21-year-old, affirming myself that yes, because of your depression and everything that happened to you, you allowed people to use you.
Ooh,
But now you have the power. You have gained back that power. You have gained back that power. And that is also one of the things that God had did to me. Like, he gave me so much power. He gave me so much power that as much as I'm saved, I am Christian, and we're being told that we're supposed to be like this, that, and the other because we're Christians. But God
yeah.
says, don't allow people to walk all over you. You have the power. And especially with the type of work that we do, um, men will come up and say things. But now God has given me the power to reply back. Or sometimes God says, He's not worth it.
Right.
But even though you don't say anything, but you still have the power. So that was the whole process in me renewing myself basically. And what is so beautiful about allowing the healing journey to process, it goes according to how you want it. I
Mhm.
remember when I started my healing journey, I was like, okay, so I'm not going to watch the popular TV shows, reality TV shows that are happening. I'm going to look I'm going to go look for the people that I want to embody, the people that I want to be like. So I would watch maybe people like you, Jen, and be like, no, Jen, I like her confidence. So I'm going to draw her confidence from her. I'm not going to watch people dancing in clubs. That's not going to do anything for me. So I
Right.
decided that I am writing like God, like whatever God had said, I'm going to be like, okay, Zizo, you're going to be shy. You won't want to talk to people. No, I don't want to be shy. I want to talk to people. I want to speak out. I want to tell people about what is going on. No one is going to tell me that, Zizo, you were wrong. You were doing this, that, and the other. I know myself. Now I am learning to know myself, who I am, and I will go according to how I want to be. Now I am rebranding myself to, first of all, to not be a rape victim, to be a rape survivor. I am rebranding myself,
And a thriver.
and a thriver. And I am a speaker. I am well spoken. I tell myself that I am beautiful. And even if I'm wearing a short thing, I am wearing this short skirt for myself. I feel confident in this short skirt. It's not for me to impress men around me, it's for myself. So that is how my healing process went. For me, it was rewriting and rebranding myself for how I want to see myself, not for how I want people. Before you can tell me that I am beautiful, I already know, but
I
thank
already
you,
know.
Jane. But thank you so much. Oh, Zizo, I love your confidence. I know, but thank you. I don't need anyone to tell me that, Zizo, because you went through this, you are strong. No, don't tell me that I'm strong. Yes, it may seem that it was strong of me, but at that moment when it was happening, I was weak. And I'm not afraid to admit that, because if I was strong for it, I would not have tried to commit suicide. I would not have failed in so many things that I failed at if I was strong for what had happened to me. I was weak, I admit that. But now I came out stronger from that situation. But I don't like being called a strong woman, because I feel like that gives off, people can now just
Yes,
come and do things to you because you are the strong woman. So I'm a feather, I'm an egg. But, but when I need to be strong, I am strong.
I love this. I love it for you.
Mhm.
And you touched three important things right there.
Mhm.
One, you said something because as survivors and thrivers, we're not victims. One thing
Yes.
we do is we go back because of things that they say. Like you just
Yes.
said, for example, because you were wearing short pajamas, did that give you the right to rape me? Did that give you the
No.
right to touch me? Then we start thinking, oh, so it's our fault. We're the ones that
Mhm.
caused this on ourselves. And you have to go back and undo that
And
mindset that they
yes,
planted in us. Those rotten seeds, throw them out, replant new seeds. You
yes,
violated
yes.
because you wanted to. Something was wrong with you, not me. Because
Mhm.
I can wear what makes me feel comfortable. Because a lot of women go through it now. They dress sexy. That means that you have the right to approach them a certain way or touch them. And then reaffirming, I am beautiful. I did well. I don't need you to tell me I did well. I don't need you to tell me I'm beautiful because I know that. Because when you give people the power to tell you those things and you start feeling good from hearing it, you also give them the power to break you down. And
Hmm.
I want to ask you, what would you tell somebody? What what affirmations, what words would you say to somebody to repeat to yourself? What routines would you say, do this routine? Find what works for you, but here's some steps that you could take to undo those things that you were taught, those things that were poured into you that don't belong inside of you.
All right. So what I've realized that with abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence victims, um I will also put myself in that category for what I'm about to explain, that we tend to think that we are we are not worthy, you know. We are not beautiful. That's why these people do these things to us. We don't deserve love. We don't, all of that. So I I always felt that I am curvaceous, so I always thought it's because of that reason that my dad did that to me. And for the longest of time, I hated my body. I hated that I have a fat butt. Maybe it was that thing that attracted him to me, for him to be able to do that. But then when a time came for my healing, I needed to forgive my body too. And I remember I used to stand in front of the mirror and be like, you are going to look at this body and you are going to lotion it like you love it. You know, like you see when they are doing an advertisement on TV of a lotion, and that lady would be like caressing their body, so
Yeah.
nicely. That is what I would literally do in front of the mirror, showing my body love. That this thigh, as huge as it is, I love it. My legs, I love them as I put lotion on them, and I love myself. And I now, after that, I was confident enough to go outside in minimal clothing, and I look cute. And I love, even before people told me that, oh, wow, because for many years I used to wear long sleeves, jeans, sweatpants, because I was trying to hide this body. But as soon as people saw it, they were like, ah, Zizo, look at that butt. And before they even said that, I knew that about myself, that, listen, hourglass is hourglassing. And
Yeah.
I just loved myself. So I would also like to say that to those people, that I know that these people make us feel worthless, as if now this body means nothing. Love that body first. And I always believe that the very same body feature that they trash is the one that makes you you. Because many people, they always like complain, my nose, this. I'm like, girl, that nose makes you you. Like, if there was not that nose, there wouldn't be you. Like, I wouldn't be able to recognize you with that nose. So love that nose, love it. I've been told about my big forehead. Oh, you've got to be, but I embrace my forehead and I show it because it makes me me, you know? And it's one of the features when people look at me like, yo, this forehead just shows that you are your father's child. You look like your father because of this forehead. And I used to hate it. But then when it came a time for me to heal and forgive everything, I needed to start with the forehead. That this forehead represents me. It doesn't represent my father. It represents who you are as Uzizo. Because if I would be flat, people would be like, we don't recognize you. So love the forehead, love the facial features because of you, not because they, like, when people look at you, they see your father, not because you look so much like him, because you love yourself. I love myself because I love myself, and no one, absolutely no one, can take that away from me.
That is beautiful. Now, has your father reached out to you now that he's out? Has he ever tried to get in contact with you?
No, no, none whatsoever.
And are you Are you okay with that now? You're content with it. I could tell you're content, but are you good with that not having that reconnection? You know, we say somebody asked the other day, if you forgive somebody, do you have to reconcile? And my
Yes.
answer will always be no.
No. I don't want to lie, Jane. Part of the reason why I moved to Johannesburg was finding out that he actually got out, and in as much as you had said that healing is not a destination, it's a
It's a
process.
journey. Mhm.
So as soon as I heard that he was out, like, I just became overwhelmed and was like, no, I cannot, I don't see myself ever bumping into this man and just acting as if everything was okay. So let me just move. So that was when things became rocky for me. And I realized that I never dealt with the fact that when he's out, what is going to happen? So, and I remember when he got out, I was at the prime of my career, if I could put it that way. I was a speaker, going every weekend, it was just busy for me, but I had to let everything go because I could not go and speak in front of people and still be scared. What if he would come out, he would come through that door, what would I say? So I needed to let everything go and just move and just start again and deal with the fact that this man is now out. What is going to happen and how are you going to deal with it? So I haven't had a conversation with him, and honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. It's one of the things that I haven't revisited, and I've put it to God that God, I have went through the process of forgiving this man, and I don't want to go back to the anger and the resentment, but he is now out, and he lives in my rural areas where my grandparents are, where my whole family is. So I have to go back there one day. But I am just asking you for the strength that when I ever have to meet him now, I meet him in town in a supermarket, I am able to face him without fear and just be me. So I think I'm at a place where I'm just asking God like to fill me up with strength because um yeah, that's how I can put it. I'm really I haven't been, like, I can't say that I'm ready to face him or I'm not. I do not know, but at this stage I'm okay with where I am, you know. I am at a place where God is just filling me up with him so that when I'm ready to go face Goliath, I'm going to stand there like David and be like, come. So
And
now
you
I'm
will.
still out there in the field tending to the sheep, and I'm just waiting to be called. When I am called now to come and face the giant, then I will be able to face it because I know that I am with God. I am not alone.
You will. He will
Yes.
strengthen you. And in this process, that's what he's
Yeah.
doing right now. Another season of your life that he's strengthening you and giving you the tools and the essentials that you're going to need for when you do face him.
Yes. Yes.
For my listeners that want to purchase My Father Took My Innocence, Purified and Sanctified at Last, how can they purchase it?
All right, they can purchase it through myself on Instagram, Zizo underscore Apleni. But at the moment, Jen, I am still struggling with funds in terms of the printing and all of that. But as soon as I have that sorted out, I will definitely shout it out to my all social media platforms that the book is available. And for people who are in Canada, I'm sure a plan can be made for the book to be get there. Everything now is easy, with everything that is going on in the world. So that can be arranged for people to get a copy. As soon as I have copies that are enough for me to distribute, I will let everyone know.
Awesome, because I cannot wait to get my copy. I'll
I
be the
am
first
definitely.
in line.
Yes, please. Yes.
Now, Zizu, I know that this is a journey for you. It's been a long journey and purified and sanctified journey to finding God and self love and peace and accepting your calling. For listeners that are listening and they're going through something similar, or they have a loved one that's going through this, what advice can you give to them, or encouraging words just to keep them going?
All right. Whew. I would like to say that, as I said earlier, that in my journey, when I reflect, there was never a moment that I did not see God's hand in my life. And I believe that for the very same reason that you are here
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
listening to this episode, it's God's hand over your life. So do not give up on the idea that God is there. God's hand is over your life. And if you are a victim yourself, we are here. It was so heartbreaking that for us there was never a Zizo to stand in front of me and be like, you can survive it, you'll be okay, you know. But nowadays we are here. God has made us, as I said earlier, that things happen to you, but they are not about you. Living proof of myself that whatever happened to me was not about me, but for you watching this episode, and it will get better. You will become like Zizo yourself one day, and you will ask, how did I get here? And it's because of people like us who are able to stand and say, I've been through it, but here I am today. And those that have victims who are going through this, support them. And if you don't know what to say, don't say anything, because we tend because we see people in problems, in depression, we tend to say things and not knowing that what you are saying is probably that one thing that person needed to kill themselves, you know. If you are dealing with victims of rape, domestic violence, being there in silence is probably what they need the most. You know, just be there in silence, support them, and believe them. And that is the best that you can do for them, because at that time, that is what you need. You need someone who will say to you, Jen, I believe that this happened to you. I trust that this happened to you, and I am going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you. You are not going to go through it alone, and I'm here for you. That's the support you can give to a person going through this. And just share what you can. And as I said, we are here, and these things are on the internet for life. You can literally just share a link and someone listens to Zizo speaking, and after that they're like, no, I am getting out of this mat of suicide. I am healing. I am starting my healing journey, and I'm just taking it one day at a time.
That is the best advice that I always tell people. If you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, just simply say, I'm here for you. Hold their hand through the process. Where you don't understand, find understanding through God.
Oh God, yes.
Be silent if you don't know what to say, because words are very, very damaging.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do your research, ask questions, and learn and be patient. Give grace and always give love.
Yes, yes.
Zizo, it was an absolute pleasure
So beautiful.
having you on here, and thank you for gracing the Life to Seeds platform. Guys, there you have it. I'm no longer calling these interviews. They are called fireside chats, because I don't feel like my guests were having an interview. It's more of a conversation. It's a connection where I'm giving you guys information and understanding of things that are happening, and how important it is to really trust yourself when it comes to breaking generational cycles, toxic traits, healing, forgiveness. it is important to believe in yourself and continue going through the process. It is not easy. It is not easy telling our stories. It is not easy coming out, but we have to understand that it's not just for ourselves. It's for the millions of people that are going through it, people that will go through it, people who have experienced it, that need a sounding board, a voice to help them continue to push through, to have faith in their own self, not just God or your creator, but to believe and continue the process no matter what comes your way. Guys, I want to thank you so much for continuing to support this channel, Life's Deceit, with me, your girl, Jen Simpson. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Please continue to share. Please continue to leave your beautiful comments. I would love your feedback, any topics, any conversations you would like me to touch on or, give insight on. Leave your comments. Let me hear. I want to hear your voices. I want to read your comments. Please, before you leave, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and share this video and subscribe. Please, guys, thank you so much. I love you. I pray that you continue to have a beautiful week, day, afternoon, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for tuning in to Life's Deceit. Bye.
Phenomenous. Cold ink.